Have you ever pressed the accelerator of a car only to feel the engine hesitate, that split-second lag between your intention and the vehicle's response? For too many men over 50, that's exactly what modern life feels like. The intention is there, the drive, the plans, the passion, but the body's engine sputters. You're told it's just getting older, but what if I told you it's not an age, it's a fuel crisis? For the last decade, my clinical research has focused on one powerful question. Why do some men at 60 have more vitality and sharpness than others at 45? And the answer repeatedly points not to a miracle pill, but to a fundamental recalibration of cellular fuel. The most exciting tool in this recalibration is a simple, ancient, yet profoundly powerful ally, a specific olive oil protocol. Let's begin by truly understanding that silent fire. Imagine a healthy, youthful cell as a clean, burning furnace. Fuel goes in, energy is produced, and the waste is managed efficiently. Now picture what happens in a system under long-term, low-grade inflammation. It's as if that furnace has developed countless tiny, smoldering fires in its very brickwork. These fires aren't dramatic blazes. They don't cause acute pain or a fever. Instead, they perpetually smoke. This smoke, this inflammatory exhaust, leaks into every system of the body. It coats the intricate machinery of your cells in a greasy, toxic residue. This is the reality for countless men in their second half of life. The body is not sick in the traditional sense, but it is ceaselessly, silently under siege. The symptoms are the ones we've been falsely taught to accept as normal aging. That deep-seated stiffness in the joints when you rise in the morning, which is less about mechanics and more about inflammatory chemicals bathing the cartilage. It's the mental fog that makes focus feel like wading through syrup because the neural pathways are inflamed and firing inefficiently. It's the stubborn weight around the midsection, because visceral fat is not just inert storage. It is an active endocrine organ pumping out more inflammatory signals. This fire compromises the very integrity of your blood vessels, making them less pliable and more prone to plaque, which slowly strangles the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the muscles and organs that need them for power and drive. This systemic rusting is the foundational bottleneck. You can try to pour more fuel in through diet or stoke the engine with exercise, but if the core environment is one of constant inflammatory stress, the gains are minimal and the fatigue is profound. This is where the specific high-phenolic olive oil protocol acts not as a mere supplement, but as a strategic, targeted counter-assault. The key agents are potent phenolic compounds like olecanthal. Fascinating research has shown that olecanthal possesses a direct dose-dependent anti-inflammatory action that mirrors that of ibuprofen, but it achieves this through a natural, food-based pathway, without the damaging side effects to the gastric lining and kidneys associated with long-term pharmaceutical use. What it does is quite literally interfere with the inflammatory cascade at its source. It inhibits the very enzymes, the COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes, that are responsible for producing the prostaglandins which signal pain, heat, and swelling. When you consume a daily, therapeutic dose of this quality oil, it's like sending a legion of microscopic special forces throughout your circulatory system. Their mission, to locate these smoldering fires and extinguish them at the molecular level. The effect is cumulative and systemic. As the inflammatory burden begins to lighten, the cellular machinery can start to clean itself. Receptors on cell membranes become more sensitive again. Communication between cells improves. The environment within your joints shifts from corrosive to nourishing. The brain's neurochemistry finds a clearer, more balanced state. This is the non-negotiable first step. Dousing this silent fire isn't about chasing a single symptom. It's about creating the fundamental physiological peace necessary for every other intervention, be it for building muscle, sharpening cognition, or elevating energy. To actually work, you are removing the wet blanket that has been smothering your metabolic potential. Until this fire is controlled, the quest for power and drive is an uphill battle against your own biology. By addressing inflammation first, you are not just putting out fires. You are reclaiming the pristine terrain upon which true vitality is built. What we have outlined here is more than a list of benefits. It is a unified theory of reclaiming agency. Each of these 6 points, from dousing the silent fire of inflammation to electrifying the brain, from retuning your metabolism to supercharging your cellular power plants, is not an isolated tactic, but a single, integrated strategy. It is the understanding that the feeling of lag, the hesitation you once felt between your will and your body's response, was never an inevitability. It was and is a symptom of a system running on the wrong fuel and fighting a silent war. This protocol represents a conscious ceasefire and a resupply of the highest grade provision. You are not just adding a supplement. You are fundamentally altering your body's internal environment from one of defense and decay to one of renewal and readiness. This stands in stark contrast to the fragmented, reactive approach to aging we are so often sold. We are told to take one pill for our joints, another for our cholesterol, a different exercise for our heart, and a separate diet for our weight. It is an exhausting, piecemeal battle. The power of this approach lies in its profound synergy and return to simplicity. You are addressing the hormonal, the neurological, the inflammatory, and the metabolic simultaneously, with a single foundational act of nourishment. It is a reminder that the human body is a masterpiece of interconnected systems, and when you provide the correct building blocks with deliberate intent, those systems are designed to rally, repair, and thrive. This is not a subtraction of years, but a resurrection of potential. Therefore, let this be your new paradigm. Your body is not a machine winding down, but a garden. The soil, your cellular and systemic environment, had become depleted and overgrown with the weeds of inflammation and oxidative stress. You have been trying to grow the fruits of vitality, drive, and strength in that compromised soil, wondering why the harvest was so meager. This protocol is the act of meticulously, consistently, and richly rebuilding that soil. It is the daily act of replenishing the humus with the highest quality fats and antioxidants. From this restored foundation, everything else, your training, your pursuits, your mental clarity, will grow stronger, more resilient, and more vibrant. The power is not in fighting the individual symptoms, but in cultivating the ground from which all health springs. So, the invitation and the imperative is clear. This is not a passive hope, but an active choice. It begins not with a prescription, but with your next meal. It starts with looking at your plate and seeing not just calories, but information, not just food, but cellular instructions. Choose the oil that is medicine. Choose the foods that partner with it to rebuild. Let your fork be the tool that quiets the fire, fuels the engine, and sharpens the mind. The journey to power and drive is not a distant summit. It is the very next step you take toward your kitchen, armed with the knowledge that you hold the means to recalibrate your own biology. The accelerator awaits your foot. The clear road awaits your vision. Press down. Thank you for joining me for this vital discussion today. Remember, this isn't about chasing a fleeting trend. It's about embracing a fundamental truth, that your sustained power and drive are built on the quality of your cellular foundations. What you put in your tank determines how far and how vibrantly you can travel. If this message resonated with you, if you felt that spark of recognition about your own potential, then your engagement is crucial. Please like this video to let me know you're ready to take this science seriously. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications because we are just getting started. This is the first of many deep dives into actionable, evidence-based strategies for mastering your health after 50. Most importantly, I want this conversation to continue. Share this video with one other man in your life who needs to hear this message. A brother, a friend, a colleague. Let's build a community focused on thriving, not just surviving. Your journey back to power and drive begins now. I am Dr. Charlotte Hayes. Until next time, remember, you are not your age, you are your biochemistry. Nourish it wisely.